Well, the time has come. This popular Colorado restaurant will close its doors in just days. A man from Florida sued, saying the restaurant is not accessible to people with disabilities, and the owner cannot afford to fight back. Well, the Denver 7 Investigates team first exposed the case back in August, and tonight Ryan Luby is here again. And Ryan, because of your digging, we're happy to report the owner has some new hope.
Right, because he thought he might have to close his doors permanently, but he's still going to have to close on Sunday. However, he has the real potential of reopening down the road, and that's because he finally has someone in his corner who's willing to duke it out for him in court for free.
Money brought life back to this corner of Bailey more than a year ago. Money will also shut it down, at least for a while.
It feels like extortion.
This is attorney Courtenay Patterson. That's how she describes the money her client could have paid to settle, $15,000.
It's such a fraud on the court system. It's such a disservice to people who truly are actually victims of the law, people who really need to have justice, and that's the whole point of the ADA statutes that are out there and the protections.
A federal court asked Patterson to defend the restaurant owner pro bono because he cannot afford to hire his own attorney. Initially, she almost declined it because of her schedule, but she thought differently after seeing the story on Denver 7.
The urinal, they said, is a few inches too high.
In hearing of the accusations, tiny technical violations.
And then when I read it more closely and I actually looked through the complaint, I had such a visceral reaction to it that I was like, I have to do this. I don't care how busy I am, I'm doing this.
Right.
Because, I mean, if there was ever a reason to do justice, this was it.
So far, Patterson has asked the court to dismiss the case. She argues that the man from Florida, Santiago Abreu, filed suit in federal court too soon, that he failed to follow state rules and procedures first. Not to mention, she says he failed to just have a conversation.
All it took was a phone call or a letter or even just walking up to him at the restaurant and saying, hey, do you know you're out of compliance? I realize that's not necessarily, according to the plaintiff, required, but it seems like a whole lot easier.
To that end, Abreu and his attorneys have turned down every request to speak with Denver 7 Investigates on camera. But one of the attorneys said in an email in part, the Americans with Disabilities Act has been enforced for over 25 years, yet the number of restaurants and taverns that have been in violation of the ADA and continue to violate the law is astounding. But attorney Patterson argues that litigation is just making matters worse.
Small business owners in particular are going to be so gun-shy anytime they see somebody come in with a wheelchair or on crutches or with any sort of disability that's visible. They're going to see that and immediately be concerned that, oh my gosh, it's another tester coming in to see if I'm in compliance.
Now, so far, Mr. Abreu has filed 2 more of these types of cases since we first reported on this, now totaling 67 in all, just here in Colorado, just in the last year or so. He is not the only one. There are others. There's also legislation on the table in Congress that could curtail these types of cases, but it has so far stalled.
We know you'll keep watching. Thank you, Ryan.